Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make Palmiers. These are a French pastry made with puff pastry basically, and all it is puff pastry and sugar. Now I've seen several recipes from other countries where they mix some cinnamon or some other spices into the sugar, but my understanding is that the traditional way is just the puff pastry and the sugar. So that's what I'm going to do. So the shape of these is supposed to resemble a palm tree, or even in some cases a heart shape, and in other cases they're referred to as elephant ears. But basically you roll out the pastry, you cover it with sugar, fold the sugar into the pastry as you roll more and more, and then you roll it, then you fold it up, chill it, cut it into little pieces, place them on the baking tray and bake them. So it's quite a straightforward recipe, and I'm using the inverse puff pastry that I made the other day. But you can use shop bought puff pastry. I would go for the all butter version of the shop bought puff pastry, and if it comes in sheet form, perhaps I would use 2 sheets, and I would put one sheet on top of the other with sugar in between. But I'll explain a little bit more about that as I'm working with my dough. So I'll go on to these ingredients. I have here one piece of my inverse puff pastry. This weighs about 500 grams, so that's 1 pound, about 1 pound 2 ounces probably. And I have 200 grams, 1 cup of sugar, which I may not need all of, but the idea is that the sugar is liberally sprinkled over the puff pastry as we work. So that's all there is to it, and we need to get on and start working. So I'm going to simply take some sugar and sprinkle a little bit of it onto my surface, and then I'm going to put the puff pastry onto it. I'm going to start to roll that out. I'm going to roll that out into a long rectangle basically, and I've had this out of the fridge for about 15 minutes so that it can start to become slightly malleable. And as I roll this, I'm putting more sugar underneath the pastry just so that it doesn't stick, and that sugar will become caramelised as we bake the Palmiers. Now I've rolled that out to about 50 centimetres by 20 centimetres, so that's 16, about 20 inches by 8 inches. And if you were working with shop bought puff pastry, put one sheet down, put some sugar on it, put the other sheet down, and roll them out until you've added about 2 inches all the way around. That will be good enough, and then you can follow on from what I'm doing. So I'm going to take some sugar, I'm going to place it on the surface like that, and how much sugar you use is really up to you. You don't need to use the whole cup full of sugar. And I'm going to use my rolling pin just to press that in. I have seen some recipes where people like to brush their pastry with egg, but I think that's not necessarily the traditional way of doing it. So with that in like that, I'm going to fold the pastry up by about 1/3 and then fold the other 1/3 down so that it covers it like that. And that's good like that. And then I'm going to sugar the board again. And I'm going to sugar the pastry on the top. I'm going to roll this out to a rectangle which is more like 50 by 30 if I can. So that would be 20 inches by 12 inches. And all the while I'm going to be ensuring that I put sugar on to keep working that in. And with that rolled out to about those dimensions, I'm going to take the top part here and I'm going to fold it down about 8 centimeters like that. And then I'm going to fold it over on itself again, but before I do that I'm going to put some sugar on that part there and just roll that in, and then I'm going to fold that over like that. And I'm going to do the same at this end. and sugar that, and roll that in as well, and fold that over like that. And I'm just going to press down there. I have a gap in the middle for this to fold over again. So I'm just going to put some sugar on each side. Like that, and I'm going to fold it over onto itself like that and turn it around. And then I'm going to sugar again on the top and the bottom. So that's the top. Turn it over and do it again. And as you can see, I haven't used anywhere near the full amount of sugar. And with that like that, I'm going to put that onto a tray which I'm then going to cover with some plastic wrap, and I'm going to put that into the fridge, and I'm going to chill it for at least an hour. And when the hour has come to an end, I'll come back and we will cut the Palmiers into pieces and put them on parchment lined baking trays, and they can then chill in the fridge while we preheat our oven. So it's been an hour now and I have chilled my dough, and I'm just going to cut the end off like that, and then I'm going to cut this into strips which are about 1/2 inch wide, and I've just made myself a little bit of a marker. And if your pastry seems a bit soft, you can chill it for longer. And with them cut out, I'm going to put them onto a parchment lined baking sheet, and I'm going to open up like that, and these are going to rise or spread because of the puff pastry, so I'm going to leave quite a gap between them. I'm going to put 6 on each of my baking trays. So there I have 12, and I have another 5 which I will chill again until I'm ready to bake those. So I'm going to put those into the fridge, and I'm going to chill them while I preheat my oven to 180 degrees Celsius, 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And when the oven has come to temperature, I'm going to put these into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for about 30 minutes. I will check them after 17 to 18 minutes to see if the underside has caramelised, and if it has, I'll turn them over and bake them for the remaining time until both sides have caramelised, and then I take them out of the oven and leave them for a couple of minutes before I put them onto a wire rack to cool completely. But maybe I'll come back and show you after about 18 minutes as I turn them over. So it's been 20 minutes and I've turned over 3 of those, and I'm going to turn this one over. As you can see, the bottom is quite nicely caramelised, and I'm going to put those back into the oven and I'm going to bake them for a further 8 to 10 minutes until the now underside is also baked. So I baked the palmiers for a further 10 minutes and they baked quite nicely underneath as well. So I took them out of the oven and I put them onto a wire rack to cool down, and this is what they look like. So I've only got 12 here. The other 5 are still in the oven baking at the moment, but I thought I would show you these because they've just about cooled down, and they've baked up quite nicely, nice and caramelised. So I'll have a taste of this one. Pastry is very flaky but nice and crisp as well, and the sweetness from the caramelised sugar, very good, and very buttery as well, of course. Now you could use more sugar if you wanted more caramelisation, that's up to you. And I have seen a couple of recipes that have put a little bit of zest into the lemon zest or orange zest into the sugar as well, that's up to you as well. So this is quite an easy recipe, even if you use shop bought puff pastry. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.